name's Simon Cade and this is DSLRguide. Today's episode is going to be about this here. This is the Aputure Magic rig, also known as the Polaroid rig, and it's a really cheap rig, and it has the 2 points of contact plus your focusing, which is 3, and then if you have, it works really well with a viewfinder, which would have your 4th point of contact, which makes it really stable, and the price makes it a really popular rig. Now this video today is going to be about how I've upgraded this rig using these parts here to make it so that to improve it, because these parts, as a £40 rig, the parts are really quite naff. Especially these clamps, which you tighten them down as much as you can, and they'll still move. So then you use an Allen key, and then although you can get it closer, they still do everything tends to kind of slip a little bit, and that's just tightened by hand, but you can see how easy that is to move everything. And for a rig like this, you really want everything to stay solid. So based on that, the first thing that I recommend you get is this right here. This is a carbon fibre rod from Berkey Systems. It's the 6-inch rod, and this is to replace this rod on the rig. So I'll just put that on now. So the nice thing about this rod is how light it is. It's really high quality, and of course as carbon fibre, it's amazing how light it is. But then the really good thing is that obviously also carbon fibre is known for being strong, so it almost feels like it's going to fall apart, but then it's actually really strong. So not only does it add does it lose some of the weight from your rig, it also has something about the coating on the outside of it just means that it has more friction. So as a relatively cheap upgrade to this rig, I would say go ahead and get this carbon fibre rod, which is from Berkey Systems, and it means that it's a bit longer than the standard one, and it just allows you to, it just helps the clamps to grip a bit. And then the other thing that I'd recommend on this budget is to add some washers to the clamps, so you can see between the thumb screw and the clamp there's usually one small black washer, and what I've done is I've just found a couple of these silver ones and added them between them, which just helps when you're tightening it down. So you can then take an Allen key and tighten these up all the way as hard as you can, and then this rig will pretty much not slip around. So just this carbon fibre rod and a couple of washers will increase the strength of your rig. Now you can see I've also painted a couple of these thumb screws, which obviously is up to you. It does tend to scratch off, so it's not hugely recommended. Now the only problem with this setup is this rig is it's meant to be a portable rig, and if you loosen this piece, you can actually take this off, and then this will fit into my bag nicely, and then I can slot this on top. So it folds down into quite a small package. Whereas if you have to leave it like this, then it's too big. So my point is that if you tighten everything down with an Allen key, which is required with these clamps, then the only way to get it off is to use an Allen key. So that's when I decided to buy this other type of clamp from, again, same brand, from Berkey, and it's this one here. So this is the 90-degree right angle clamp from Berkey, and it has the version that has the thumb screws with it. So these are really good because it means that I can attach it like this, and that's pretty much as tight as I have to make it. You really don't have to. You don't need Allen keys. You can do it all by hand, and just the quality of these is really quite outstanding. So you can see that again with the extra friction from the carbon fibre, you can really quickly adjust everything and the best thing about it is that it'll stay without. Now you can use an Allen key if you want to, but to be honest, you can tighten it down like that and it's not going anywhere. Now you can see it is moving, but that's because of the other sections. So this is obviously slightly more pricey. This will cost you about $50, but I cannot recommend this enough. This is a really high quality piece of kit that will last a long time, and you know, these right angle clamps, you can use them for anything, so it's definitely a worthwhile investment. So since I liked this clamp so much, I decided to go ahead and buy another one. Now this one, because of the way that this is designed, this one I need to take off quite regularly so that I can store it, whereas this clamp right here, I just always leave it in the same position. So I decided to save myself some money and just buy this version of the clamp, which is the same product, but it doesn't have these thumb screws, so it saves you about, I think it's $20. And what this allows me to do is put it on, and then using an Allen key you can tighten it down, and again, this is so much better quality than the ones that come with the Aputure rig. You can tighten it down and then very simply, same with the other one, and then I can just leave this knowing that it's not going to go anywhere. I feel much more comfortable having that clamp as opposed to this one here, as this is the platform that's got my camera on it. So now I have this, which is a really great setup. It means that I can very quickly, as you just saw, adjust this section. If I need to adjust the direction of it, then I can very easily just do that, and then same with the length. And then this one, like I said before, I can just set it up and then leave it exactly where it is. So I don't need the extra thumb screws. But the good thing is, if I do decide to upgrade to the thumb screws, you can buy them separately and then just replace them. They're available on Berkey's website. So the final upgrade that I've done on my rig is this handle. Now, if I'm honest, it doesn't actually make a huge amount of difference. This handle will slip a little bit if you put it under pressure, and to be honest, so will the Redrock handle. But there are a few things that make it worthwhile. For a start, it frees up one of these clamps, because this handle is really just a clamp and a rod. So I can use this clamp if I ever need to mount something lightweight to my rig. But I don't like using these in my actual rig at all, because they're just so bad quality. So I decided to buy this Redrock one, and I was a little bit disappointed with the quality. It, again, the same sort of issue is that you tighten it down and it's still not quite strong enough. But there are pluses. It's slightly more comfortable than that handle, and it has the nice feature of a ratcheting thumb screw, which is cool. And then the other good thing about it is it looks quite a lot more professional. Now, this may not be that important. It definitely isn't on the top of my list, but it is worth considering how your rig looks, because if your client is paying a lot of money to have a film shot, then you want to look as professional as possible. So it is something worth taking into account. So now this rig is really solid. The rest of the parts, such as this clamp here, to be honest, you could replace it. You could buy a Zacuto one, which would cost you a lot of money, or you could, I think Express 35 have an alternative to this as well. But the thing is, the only movement that this clamp is stopping is the rotation, and this clamp, even though it's not that strong, it does the job. Same with this rod. It doesn't need to be that tough. I could replace it with a carbon fibre one, and it would be maybe less likely to slip, but the amount of weight from the camera going down, it's not really a problem. The main time when stuff is likely to slip is if you're holding it, say like this, and all the weight of the camera is pushing down on that field of rotation, and for this one it's that way, so it's never really going to feel much weight, if that makes sense. And same with the shoulder pad. I could replace it. It would probably cost me at least 50 quid to get a bigger shoulder pad and maybe a carbon fibre rod here, but this one does the job, you know. It's a bit small, but for run and gun situations, it's never been a problem to me, so I'm gonna stick with this. But then the only other thing I'd recommend is this base plate here is really quite poor. This thumb screw used for tightening, the plastic here has actually come away from the tightening knob, so if you were to just spin that, then as soon as it starts getting tight, the plastic bit that's used to help you get a grip on it actually moves separately. The glue that was attaching them has just come away, so you have to really squeeze it in order to tighten it down properly. So this thing you really want to stay away from. So that's why I'd recommend using a quick release adapter, although I would recommend using this anyway, because this quick release plate isn't going to work for you on anything. You know, it's not going to fit on your tripod or any of your other gear, so that's why I recommend that you purchase one of these. Now what this does is it means you can slot the original quick release plate into its adapter, and then make sure it's all lined up, tighten this down as much as you can, and then you can just leave that like that, because every time you loosen this and tighten it up again, I feel like it's just falling apart. So while this setup isn't ideal, I think if you can, as long as you can tighten this down, then it's safe to put the camera on. But it's a lot better to have a proper quick release adapter for when you're trying to quickly take it on and off. I'm using the Giotto's MH61, which I'll be doing a video about next week. So this is the final rig. It's really nice quality. Everything is really solid. You know, once you've adjusted it and tightened it down, it's really not going to go anywhere. You can very easily adjust stuff to make it. For instance, if I'm going to use my viewfinder, then I'll usually have it a bit higher up. But then if I want to go into a low kind of shot, just looking at the screen, then I can back it up and put it a bit lower. And again, everything is just really adjustable. So it's a really nice rig for you kind of shooting events, or even a short film. I think it works really well for. But this rig does not replace a tripod. After using this, holding this in say for an interview, I'd say anything longer than a few minutes, and you're not going to be able to hold it steady for that long, because you start to feel fatigue in your arm. You know, this doesn't have counterweight, so all the weight is on your arm, and although you can kind of lock your arm into your body, it's still you still do start to feel it after a couple of minutes. So although I do use this rig 90% of the time, there still is use for a monopod, tripod, or counterweighted shoulder rig. But yeah, so that's it. This is my 3 different options for upgrading a rig, all of different prices. And yeah, that's it. So next week I'm going to be talking about this quick release adapter more in depthly. So I'll see you next week.